Alright, so we got Ethan Hawke playing a villain in Moon Knight, and now we have Ethan Hawke playing a villain in a horror movie. All I can say is that I hope we get more Ethan Hawke. So The Black Phone, I was really anticipating this movie. From the trailer, I was already hooked. I love Ethan Hawke, and just seeing him as a villain, I was excited. I was like, okay, he's gonna play a serial killer. The trailer, it looked amazing. While I did think it gave off like too much, so I only saw the first trailer. Once I saw the first trailer, the second trailer that came out, I completely ignored it because I was like, no, I don't want any more of this. From the first trailer, I was like, damn it, I've already seen too much. The Black Phone was great. I had a blast. Obviously, it's Blumhouse, so Blumhouse is really like kind of more of like a younger audience horror, and it's really bringing a lot of people who aren't into horror, and I think that's amazing. But there were some flaws with it, and I'll get into that later. But for the good stuff, I would say, first things first, the child actors, the brother and sister, phenomenal. Especially the sister, I forgot her name, but she was amazing. There was a scene when she was crying. Before you get to the grabber, Ethan Hawke, there's a good chunk of the movie that's really just about their relationship with their parents, how it is at school, and amongst each other, you know, the siblings. And there's this moment where she's crying, and it was so believable. I was like, yes, this is amazing. Great acting. And from then it was a little intense scene, and the first thing I thought, I was like, okay, like we are in for a show. Like this movie is about to be dark, this movie is about to be messed up, all sorts of fucked up, and we actually don't really get that. It's not as I thought it would be in the trailers, and it also wasn't as dark as I thought it would be from the beginning of the movie. I mean, you get the intro of the movie, which, by the way, a badass intro. I kept listening to like the intro music that they played while they were doing the opening credits. Really good. I don't know, it was weird, but it fit so perfectly because it just gives off this creepy vibe that obviously Ethan Hawke's character, the grabber, really gives off. And from the start, I was hooked. I was like, this is probably gonna be one of the best horror movies that I've seen in a long time. And it takes a while to build up to the grabber, which, in my opinion, that's fine. Like, let me get to know the characters. Give me a reason to care about the characters, and give me a reason to want them to survive whatever situation they get put in. Based on the trailers, you've probably already seen what situation they get put in. But once we get into the whole grabber thing, once he takes the kid, once Ethan Hawke takes him, the movie, it doesn't let down, but I was expecting a little different. It takes it in a less scarier tone and a more like just suspenseful, intense tone, and I'm fine with that because it was great. But there were some scenes, especially, you know, if you've seen the trailer, you know, he picks up the black phone while he's in, you know, the little basement, and he starts talking to dead people, and I was thinking, it's like, okay, is this gonna come off as corny? And it didn't. I think they played it off very well, but there were like maybe a few scenes that just didn't seem like they fit the tone that they were going for at the moment, and it kind of just threw me off. And I would say there's this one character that shows up about like halfway through the movie, and while I like the actor, I don't think he was needed in this movie. I prefer if this movie was just straight horror from beginning to end, and then there was these little chunks of like this comic relief, really. And it wasn't for me. The humor wasn't for me. In a way, it felt like maybe a more mature version of like MCU humor, almost like Deadpool humor, but not like completely that. You know, that character was only there for like a couple of scenes, really like 2 scenes throughout the whole movie, but even that just like threw me right out of the movie. And again, while I like the actor, I really kind of wish that character wasn't in there at all. I think in a way it helped make the grabber, you know, it grounded the grabber and made you like realize like, holy crap, this guy's like a normal person. He does have like family, but at the same time, I think, you know, you had to give up some comedic timing that I just didn't find funny. Some jokes that were just out of hand. It felt like wacky. It felt like out of, you know, you were in a horror movie and then out of nowhere you just go straight into this like cartoon, and then you go back into the horror movie, and I don't think it balanced it very well, in my opinion. That's just, for me, I don't think that was my kind of humor. I feel like a lot of people were laughing, especially at my theater when I watched it. A lot of people were laughing at that character and his scenes. I just didn't think it was necessary or funny, but that's just me. If we get into like the horror, the movie isn't really that scary. You know, it's really like a thrill ride. It's suspenseful. But at no moment was I like sweating or was I scared. You know, I was more of like worried, like, okay, is he gonna get out of here? Is he gonna make it? But I wasn't scared. I wasn't terrified. And it's not that gory. You know, there are a few like bloody scenes, and I don't need gore. You know, obviously I don't need it to be gory. That's not how I judge my horror movies. But it was what I was expecting, and because I didn't get it, I'm fine with it. I'm not gonna be upset because it still gave me like a really good story, and I really cared about the characters. That's what I really liked most, was the characters. Now the sad part is I love Ethan Hawke and the character, the Grabber, badass mask. I love the emotions that he gets to play. There was one scene where he's kind of like hidden in the shadows, and he like steps down, and it's like a completely different face that he puts on the mask, and I thought that was like done perfectly. I just wish we actually got to see more. We could see like chunks of him from like the second act and the third act throughout the movie, but I really do feel like there are like these little highlights, you know, like really quick clips that you get of him, like maybe a 2-minute clip, and then he's gone for a little bit, and then you get another 2-minute clip. And I wish we got like more of a sequence. You really get like the biggest sequence you get with him is probably towards the end of the movie, and even that, I think the ending was done way too short. I think for the payoff, I wish we got more of like a chase scene and a bit more of an action scene than what we got. It kind of like ended quick. Like you felt this build up, and he's like, okay, this is it. They're about to confront each other. You know, the conclusion's about to happen, and it ends a lot quicker than I thought it would end. I thought there was gonna be more of a chase, and we didn't really get that. We didn't get much of a chase. It was just quick, like 20-second chase, and then something other stuff happened, and then the movie ends, and it was like, oh, you know, they were really building up to this kid escaping, to seeing like if he could make it or not, and what they showed didn't really pay off for the build-up that they were doing. Now, I would say this movie is still very enjoyable. There was one, you know, death scene that I'm pretty sure used CGI. That's what it looked like to me, and it looked so good. It just looked like this new like CGI like blood that they use in new horror movies. I could be wrong, but that's what it looked like to me. Didn't really find that too fascinating, but besides that, like I feel like I'm talking too much trash to this movie than I should be talking. I really enjoyed this movie. This movie was creepy. It was different. I love the idea of him being able to talk to the past victims on this phone. This phone that shouldn't be working. And the Grabber, I think he was an amazing character. I just really wish we got to see more of him. I really wish we got to see more of like Ethan Hawke just going full out crazy. I really think they were really hiding that. I don't need to know his backstory. I just wanted to see more scenes of him just going crazy and just having a blast, and I felt like we didn't get enough of that. So that's what this movie really gives me. It makes me want more. In a way, it makes me want sequels, but at the same time, I don't want sequels, because I feel like if they do make sequels, they're gonna start giving off like his origin story, and they're gonna start explaining like who the Grabber was and the whole, you know, backstory behind his black phone and how does it work. And I don't need that. I just wish we got to see in this movie more of Ethan Hawke than what we did. And what we did, I think, was perfect. I think it gave me everything I wanted to see from the Grabber. I just really wanted to see more. And I know that sounds greedy, but I really don't care, because I really enjoyed Ethan Hawke's portrayal as the Grabber, and you really don't get to see his face much. It's really most like in his eyes and really his voice, and it's like his mannerisms, the way he's like walking, he's got his hands and he's like kind of like grabbing him and just moving around. That's creepy, that's weird. Wish we got to see more of it. I really enjoyed this movie. There was a few flaws with it, some of the, you know, the comedy within a certain character that I just wasn't for me. It's not me. I'm not like the biggest MCU comedy and like, well, MCU humor, and that's kind of what it felt like. It felt more of a, you know, MCU humor, and maybe that's just me, because apparently I was the only one that really wasn't laughing, because everybody else was, you know, laughing their asses off with that character. And again, it was just a minor character, but every time he showed up, it just threw me right out of the movie, and you knew exactly where it was going to go next once you see like where the cameras were focused on and how some of the doors were closed with one specific scene and what was going to happen right away. I guessed it was, you know, of course it happened like that, because that's how it happens in every horror movie. There were some scenes where it was just like, okay, the characters wouldn't be doing this in this situation. It always throws me off. I never liked that, but it didn't kill the entire like mood of the movie, or really just the movie in general. I still really enjoyed it. So while at the same time I want sequels, I really kind of don't want sequels, because I feel like I know they're going to go more into like the origin story of the Grabber and how the black phone works, and I don't need that answered. I just wish we got more of the Grabber in general. But highly recommend watching this movie. If you're a horror fan, you probably already will. You know, it is Blumhouse. Blumhouse is really killing it right now with horror movies. And yeah, we get to see more of Ethan Hawke. You know, I don't even need him playing a villain, but really just more of him in general. I really like Ethan Hawke. But yeah, I think my next video, if I'm not doing my Steelbook, it'll probably be on maintenance next week. But thanks for watching.